What would you do if the one thing meant to symbolize your future, your promise, your love, went missing, and you found out it wasn't lost at all but hidden by someone who was supposed to be family, who was supposed to stand beside you at the most important moment of your life? And what if, to make it worse, you discovered she was trying to sell it online like it was just some shiny trinket she could flip for cash? I never thought something like this would happen to me. I always thought stories like that belonged in the kind of drama you scroll past on Reddit or hear secondhand from a friend of a friend. But I lived it. I felt the cold drop in my stomach, the kind that makes your hands go numb when I realized my engagement ring wasn't where I left it. And I felt the heat rising in my chest, burning through me when I saw the listing online with the photo I'd taken myself weeks earlier. Let me take you back to the start. Melissa and I had been together for 5 years when I finally bought the ring. I'd been saving for months, putting away little chunks of money, cutting back on things no one ever notices but you. Take-out dinners, small vacations, even beers with friends. I wanted the ring to be perfect, something that said, this isn't just about now, it's about forever. When I finally picked it up from the jeweler, I remember sitting in my car staring at it in its velvet box, the diamond catching the sunlight, and I actually cried. I'm not embarrassed to admit that. It wasn't about the cost or the shine. It was about everything it represented. I didn't propose right away. I wanted it to be special. I had this plan to take Melissa back to the little cabin we'd rented on our first trip together, set up the porch with candles and fairy lights, and ask her under the stars. I kept the ring hidden in my dresser drawer, tucked beneath a pile of socks, wrapped in an old t-shirt. Not exactly Fort Knox, but I thought it was safe. Then came Thanksgiving. My family decided to host this year, which meant our house was suddenly full of relatives, my parents, Melissa's parents, cousins, nieces, nephews, and of course, my brother Jake and his wife, Vanessa. Now let me say this about Vanessa. She's complicated. The kind of person who always seems nice on the surface but leaves you uneasy. She's gorgeous, charismatic, the life of the party, but she has a way of making everything about her. And she has a reputation for drama. Small things disappearing when she's around. Stories that don't quite add up. Money troubles that always seem to resurface no matter how often Jake bails her out. Still, I never thought she'd cross this line. The day after Thanksgiving, while everyone was lounging in a food coma, I went upstairs to grab something from my dresser. I don't even remember what it might have been, a sweater. But when I opened the drawer, the ring box wasn't there. My heart stopped. I pulled everything out. Socks, shirts, the old receipts I'd shoved in the back. Nothing. I tore the whole room apart, checked every drawer, every box, every pocket in my closet. I even got down on my hands and knees, running my fingers under the bed, praying it had just slipped or I'd moved it absent-mindedly, but it was gone. I felt sick, my vision blurred. For a few minutes, I just sat there on the edge of the bed, my chest heaving, trying not to panic. I didn't tell Melissa right away. I couldn't. She didn't even know about the ring yet. How could I tell her I'd lost the thing meant to symbolize our forever before I'd even given it to her? But something inside me wouldn't let it go. I started retracing my steps, thinking back to the last time I saw it. I remembered opening the box a week earlier, just to look at it, just to remind myself that soon it would be on her hand. And then I remembered Vanessa stopping by our room that same day, claiming she was looking for wrapping paper. The thought made my skin crawl. That night, long after everyone had gone to bed, I sat at the kitchen table, scrolling on my phone, my mind buzzing. On impulse, I opened a resale app, one of those marketplaces where people sell secondhand clothes, electronics, jewelry. I don't know what made me do it. Maybe instinct, maybe something deeper. And there it was, a listing for a diamond engagement ring, almost identical to mine. The photo was what caught me. It wasn't just similar, it was exact. I recognized the angle, the lighting, even the faint scratch on the wood table beneath it, because it was my photo. I'd taken it weeks earlier when I first brought the ring home, just to see how it looked in natural light. The seller's name? A fake, but the profile picture, barely cropped, was unmistakable. Vanessa. I stared at the screen, my hands trembling. For a long moment, I thought I might actually pass out. The rage hit me all at once, flooding through me so hot I could barely think. My brother's wife, my family, selling the symbol of my future like it was just another way to cover her bills. I saved the listing, screenshotted it a dozen times, then went upstairs. I couldn't sleep. I just lay there staring at the ceiling, imagining how I'd confront her, imagining what excuse she'd make. The next morning, I waited until Jake left to grab coffee, until Melissa went out with my mom. Then I cornered Vanessa in the kitchen. She was scrolling her phone, sipping tea like nothing was wrong. "Where's my ring?" I asked. Her head snapped up. "What ring?" "Don't play dumb," I growled, pulling up the listing on my phone and shoving it in her face. "This ring. My ring. The one you took from my drawer." Her eyes widened for just a fraction of a second before she plastered on that fake smile. "I don't know what you're talking about. That's not yours. I was selling one I inherited." I laughed, but it was bitter and sharp. "Inherited? From who, Vanessa? Because that's my photo. I took it on my table. That's my ring," she sputtered, Tried to backtrack, but I didn't let her. You tried to sell my engagement ring. Do you realize what you've done? Do you realize what that means? Her mask cracked then. She dropped the act and snapped. Well, maybe if you didn't leave expensive jewelry lying around, people wouldn't be tempted. Tempted, like it was my fault. Like the ring she stole, the future she nearly destroyed, was just some shiny object she couldn't resist. I felt my hands shaking, my chest heaving. For a moment, I actually thought about screaming loud enough for the whole house to hear. But I didn't. Not yet, because that was just the beginning of what this discovery would unravel. I stood there in the kitchen staring at Vanessa, my heart hammering so loud I could hear it in my ears. She just kept sipping her tea, like she hadn't just been caught trying to sell my engagement ring online. You need to give it back, I said finally, my voice low, shaking not from fear but from the effort of not exploding. Now. Her eyes narrowed. I don't have it anymore. My stomach dropped. What do you mean you don't have it? I mean, she said, setting her cup down with deliberate slowness. I already listed it. Someone messaged me last night. They're coming to see it today. My blood ran cold. You're telling me you were going to hand over my engagement ring to a stranger, and you thought you'd just what? Get away with it? She shrugged. Jake and I need money. I thought it would help. You can buy another ring. Buy another ring. Like the one I spent months saving for. The one I picked out with my hands shaking because I wanted it to be perfect for Melissa was just something I could replace like a pair of sneakers. I gripped the counter to keep from losing it. Where is it now? In my purse, she admitted, her tone sharp, like she was daring me to do something about it. I reached over, grabbed her bag, and dumped it onto the counter. Sure enough, there it was, the velvet box, sitting right on top of a tangle of receipts and makeup. I snatched it up, opened it, and the sight of that diamond nearly made me cry with relief. Don't you ever touch this again, I said, my voice shaking with rage. If you so much as look at it, I'll make sure the whole family knows exactly what you tried to do. Her lips curled into a sneer. Go ahead. You think they'll believe you over me? That was her game. She was used to spinning stories, twisting words, making herself look like the victim. And for years, people had let her get away with it. But not this time. I walked straight out of the kitchen and into the living room, where my parents and a few cousins were sitting. I held up the ring box. Vanessa tried to sell this online, I said bluntly. My engagement ring. She stole it from my drawer. The room went silent. My mom's hand flew to her mouth. My dad's eyes widened. One of my cousins muttered, "No way." Vanessa came storming in behind me, her voice high and fake sweet. That's not true. He's twisting everything. I was just holding it for him. He asked me to don't lie, I snapped, pulling out my phone. I opened the resale app, showed them the listing with her profile picture. This is her account. This is my photo. She was trying to sell it. Gasps rippled through the room. My mom looked like she might faint. My dad's face turned red. Vanessa, is this true? He demanded. She stammered, tried to spin another story, but the evidence was there, glowing on my phone screen. And then Jake walked in, holding his coffee, completely unaware of the firestorm he was walking into. What's going on? He asked, looking between us. I turned to him, holding out the box. Your wife tried to sell my engagement ring. My ring for Melissa. She stole it out of my drawer and listed it online. Jake froze, his face going pale. What? She's lying. Vanessa shrieked. He's making this up. I shoved the phone into his hands. Look, her account, her photo, my ring. Try denying that. Jake scrolled, his face crumpling. He turned to Vanessa. Tell me this isn't true. But Vanessa didn't answer. She just crossed her arms, her jaw tight. Jake closed his eyes, shaking his head. Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. For a long time, no one said anything. The room was thick with tension, the kind that makes it hard to breathe. Finally, my dad spoke. You need to leave, both of you, now. Vanessa sputtered. What? I didn't do anything. Enough, my dad barked. Get out before I throw you out. Jake looked at me, his face filled with shame. I'll deal with her, he muttered. Then he grabbed Vanessa's arm and dragged her out of the house. The door slammed, and the silence that followed was deafening. I sank into a chair, clutching the ring box. My mom put a hand on my shoulder. I'm so sorry, sweetheart. I never thought she... Her voice trailed off, too shocked to finish. I couldn't even respond. I just sat there, staring at the ring, thinking about how close I'd come to losing it. That night, I finally told Melissa everything. She listened quietly as I explained how the ring had gone missing, how I'd found the listing, how I confronted Vanessa, how the whole family had watched it unravel. When I finished, she stared at me for a long time, her eyes wide. Then she started crying, not the sad kind of tears, but the kind that come when relief and anger and love all hit at once. You saved it, she whispered, taking the box in her hands. You fought for us. I nodded, my throat tight. I wasn't going to let her take this from us. Not ever. We sat there for a long time, holding each other, the ring between us, but the story didn't end there. Vanessa didn't just disappear quietly. She doubled down. She started telling anyone who would listen that I had set her up, that I'd planted the ring in her purse, that I was jealous of her and Jake. She even posted on social media, writing long dramatic posts about how she was being attacked by her husband's family. It tore the family apart. Some relatives believed her, others believed me. Holidays became battlegrounds. Invitations were carefully worded to avoid conflict. Every gathering felt like walking on a minefield. Jake called me a few weeks later, his voice heavy. "I'm sorry," he said. "I didn't know she'd go that far. I thought I could help her, fix her." But he trailed off. "You need to protect yourself," I told him. "She's toxic. She'll drag you down with her." He sighed. "I know. I just don't know how to let go." I didn't have an answer. I couldn't fix his marriage. All I could do was protect mine. So when the day finally came, when I took Melissa back to that little cabin with the porch and the fairy lights, I dropped to one knee, pulled out the ring, and asked her to marry me. She said yes. And as she slid the ring onto her finger, I realized something. The ring wasn't just a symbol of our love anymore. It was a reminder of what we'd overcome, of the fight it took to protect what was ours. Vanessa had tried to steal it, tried to sell it, tried to twist it into something ugly, but she failed. Because love isn't something you can list online and flip for cash. Love is what stays, even after the betrayal, even after the storm, even after the people you thought were family show their true colors. And standing there on that porch, Melissa's hand in mine, I knew this. She was my family now, my forever. And no one, not even Vanessa, could take that away.